Welcome to another exciting episode of Unraveling Intellectual Property with Michael Stein. Today, I have an esteemed colleague, Eric Postow of Whole On Law. He's the chair of the AI practice group of that firm. Eric, thank you for being part of this podcast. Why don't you tell me and the audience a little bit about yourself and your law firm?
Thank you, Michael. It's really good to be with you. I'm the chair of our AI practice group, Whole On Law Partners. We're a fully remote law firm. We specialize in highly regulated industries, offering full suite of services as kind of an outside general counsel. About 18 months ago, we decided to get into AI. We saw that it was really starting to pick up in terms of what the marketplace was looking like, who was talking about it. And since then, we've developed a holistic approach. It really came from looking at other law firms and recognizing that there was a kind of a straight path of cybersecurity and data privacy, and then they just wrote comma AI. And I felt that that was a little limiting in what AI was. I viewed it as a transformative technology that was going to change the way we do everything. And to really look at those types of issues, you had to be holistic in approach. You had to think about it from a litigation lens. You had to think about it from an IP lens, as I know you do. Have to think about it from commercial transactions and M&A, and then ethics, and then on and on and on and on. So we have done a pretty good job of developing kind of a really strong collective understanding by viewing it through our regulated industries. And in particular, we have strengths in cannabis. So we wanted to look at AI in the cannabis industry. How is that technology taking lots of data from, say, a cultivation facility and making it so that the cultivation facility could run on better margins by leaning out some of the data intensive analytics or whatever. We look at it in other spaces as well. And in particular, I'm staring right down the barrel of what's going on in transportation. So I'm really excited to see where the convergence between AI and name and industry are. But that's how I got to now.
And then from a previous discussion, you were talking about you're doing like particular study in AI and like really
I'm a markets guy. Yeah, I study the markets. I've been doing business development for a long time, talking to different industry players, different layers, trying to understand how they perceive things, what's going on there. So when I say I study, it's by immersing myself fully in the space, making the right connections, learning from them, and picking up opportunities to work on things, get my hands on some issues, work with others. Very collaborative approach. So my study is really in what is AI doing in the broadest market, what's it doing in the specific market. Here I'm in Washington, D.C., so that means the Washington, D.C. market, which means everything. So that's what I mean when I say studying.
Okay, so it seems like it's kind of client-based and adapting to what the clients are looking at.
It's relationship based. It's
Right.
clients. It's
Okay.
also collaborative. Tech entrepreneurs and VCs and other lawyers like you, just folks who are interested in this space, talking about it, working with it, have done it for years, have done it for days, just getting around and developing an ecosystem for AI.
I believe you just mentioned something about AI policy and in particular transportation. Why don't
Yeah,
you go a little bit into what you meant by that and what you're doing in this space?
yeah, absolutely. So what's interesting when you start looking at AI policy broadly speaking is you come to a couple of observations. One, the American AI policy is non-existent. And two, the rest of the world had their policy a few years ago. China wants to be the AI supremacy leader. India wants to be, Japan, so on and so forth. But the United States has never really come out with a national policy on AI.
Pardon me for interrupting, but why do you think we're behind people?
I don't know. We have interesting politics here, but we've not seized the mantle on that. Maybe it wasn't relevant enough for where we were at the time. But other countries saw AI as a transformative thing and built an entire national identity and strategy around it. And you can read their statements. Go read the Chinese one. It's fascinating. But what I also noticed was that national policy was going to start coming out in the regulated industry spaces. So finding where the convergence points are, what is AI in transportation? What's going on? So you've got smart vehicles, automated vehicles, start to learn that this has meaning. The SEA, I think, or SAE it puts out a 5-point metric of what it means to be an automated vehicle. And right now, the only car company in the world with a level 3 is Mercedes in Europe for this, which is automated vehicle. So if you think about the lowest level, that's your automatic driving, cruise control. And if you go all the way to level 5, you don't even need to be in the car and it's driving and doing stuff. We're not there yet. So level 3
Doesn't
is,
do much good if we're not in the car.
well, think about it from mass transportation. I mean, think
Yeah,
about it from transport and logistics and supply chain,
trucks and stuff.
everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so what we're seeing though is the need then for industry specific AI policy. So what is this new administration looking at? Resiliency, economic resiliency. It's a lot of energetics around what's happening in Washington and the federal government, but you can start to see that there's a push towards economic resiliency in the future based on the policies and where they're leaning into right now. So Department of Transportation appears to be leaning into the supply chain. Some of the recent moves that they've made are looking exactly at the relationships of people in those ecosystems. Beyond that, though, you've got cities and municipalities and townships that need to be thinking about how does AI improve the way our city functions? And so you've got transportation as a core feature of strategigic planning for a city. So you're going
I
to
would
see
even think, I would even think like even as far as traffic lights and traffic
everything.
flow.
How does if you imagine you're driving in a car, Michael Stein, you're driving down the road and your car is talking to the lights ahead and telling and back and forth saying, there are no cars coming, and the lights change based on the reality versus sitting there for 2 minutes waiting for something when it's 8 at night and there's no cars coming, but you got a red light sitting there.
Right.
It's kind of funny to think about it like that, but think about it from an efficiency of business perspective. Traffic jams in and around urban centers. What if that could be decreased by X%, 25%? What happens then? More efficiency. Safety in vehicles is another key feature of what AI's potential for. So yeah, I think transportation is a really fertile area to see what does AI do relative to something specific like our cars and our roads and our infrastructure.
And you mentioned economic resiliency.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
Well, it's my opinion that our country and the world right now is teetering on a sustainability course. No matter what your political leaning is, you have to agree that a sustainable future is the right future. And to be future proofed, meaning more resilient, you have to be aware and acknowledge what AI's power is, and it's transforming everything. So I spoke to a pretty impressive lawyer a couple of weeks ago, one of the big firms, and he said clearly to me, AI can do 80% of my significant appellate briefing work, 80%, leaving 20% for him to polish up whatever, so long as he could put in the right parameters. Stop and think about that, Michael Stein. What does that really mean? It means the big law firm models can't sustain themselves leveraging associates like that, and ain't nobody going to be paying $2,500 an hour if AI is doing 80% of the work. Or maybe they still would, but you're not going to be able to charge those hours because AI just did 20% of the work. That's just law. AI is going to do this in every industry. You're already seeing labor issues in Europe where companies are implementing AI or allowing AI, and unions are coming out saying, no, you can't do that. And the courts are favoring the business to use the AI because, of course, they would do that. They want to run more efficiently. So we've got major corporate America seeing this, IBM with a retraining, reskilling process going on. Depending on what your job is, you have to consider your job plus AI. How does AI make you more effective? How does it streamline your processes so that you're spending more time on the strategic stuff, whatever that is? So we got big questions. We're in a period of transition, and it's affecting things in real time. So economic resilience seems to be an overlayered general national policy that we have to get used to the fact that things are going to change and transition very rapidly, and we have to lean out our processes. Who knows how long of how far out did I just go? Don't know.
Right.
But you get it.
All right, so let's take a break here, the end of part one, and we'll continue with part two. And thanks for tuning in, and see everyone for part two.